Well, the time has come for a continuation video on this unique little metal card, and the results are not as surprising as you might think. For those of you that didn't see my unboxing of this nifty little metal card, let me introduce you to Bloom. Bloom is a metal NFC card that attaches with an app and works to disable apps, websites, and distractions on your mobile device, allowing you to create more freedom in your life, at least with regards to doom scrolling and distractions. But how does it work? And if it does work, how well does it work? Well, I've been daily driving this card and the app that it attaches to for about 45 days. And to make a long story short, it absolutely works. In fact, it works so well that I have not only not returned the card, but I will be keeping it and continuing to use it more and more in my daily life. My experiences should really surprise no one. I found that the app does a phenomenal job, not only blocking just different applications, but also helping keep life distraction-free during those important moments. For me, especially while at work. It's got a very wonderful, friendly-ish user face, and it's just a phenomenal way to cut distractions from your life. Now, while the app may seem like the more important piece of the puzzle, it is not. In fact, I would wager that the card itself is just as important as the app is, for a different reason. Obviously, the app is what actually keeps you from getting distracted. It creates success or failure, it helps you manage your time, and there's a lot of ways that it does that very well. But the card is equally as important, specifically based on the fact that the NFC chip contained within it is the only way out of a blocking program within the app. And that can seem scary, but trust me, it is a phenomenal way to keep yourself honest. The card is made out of high quality materials, has a great feel to the touch, and a nice hefty weight. But you won't feel that weight because the goal of this card is not to carry it with you at all times. I found it best to leave the card at home and simply utilize it when I need to, or through the app I can set time frames for the blocking sessions that I utilize so that they start when I get to work and end when I leave work. That way I never have to use the card to end a session at all. A really, really handy feature. I personally run a work schedule that starts at 6 a.m., ends at 4 p.m. when I get out of work. It runs Monday to Thursday, and while it's not a traditional work schedule, you could certainly set something for Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday, and you can have more than one blocking program scheduled. That way you can run things. If you get off work and you don't want to just be constantly distracted when you get home, you can block certain apps for certain times, give yourself freedom at the end of the night. Really great options within the app. The app's interface is not the most user-friendly at the beginning, but you could watch any tutorial on it, and within about 30 seconds you would pick up exactly how it works. So it is very well built, very well designed. Of course, there are still a few drawbacks to using this kind of a program and a card to block off apps from your phone and try and create distraction-free work environments and times. It doesn't work flawlessly, and we'll get into that here in just a second. As I said, this setup is not without its limitations or failures. The app is great and the blocking works extremely well, but there are ways to get around it, and there are certain limitations to what the app can actually do. The main ones I have found through my 6 weeks of use with it are regarding audio, specifically Spotify, audiobooks, things like Audible, and YouTube is the big one. I'll break down each of these and some potential fixes for the issues that I've found. So let's get into it. Firstly, and the biggest one in my opinion, is YouTube. Now, generally speaking, the Bloom app does a phenomenal job blocking YouTube while you have it as a blocked app within a schedule. Unfortunately, there are some ways around that. The ways that I have found are, number one, if you're a premium user and you have the option to play YouTube in the background. Now, obviously, that means there's not a video playing, which might be exactly what you're looking for. But if you're trying to cut out YouTube entirely during your work day or during certain hours of the day, and you have premium, you can still technically launch videos and hear them play in the background with the screen off or on if you're using another app. The other way I found is with the windowed playback feature built into YouTube. If you have this option turned on, there are pretty easy ways to get a windowed playback of a video to launch on the screen, even though the YouTube app says that it's closed. So there are some ways to get around this, or to combat this, I should say, but they basically mean that you have to turn off the windowed playback feature, which is not going to work for everyone because some people like to have that windowed playback option so they can multitask on their phone. Something I do all the time and I completely understand. So it is definitely a hassle. Similarly, with apps like Spotify and Audible, if you have them set up as widgets on your phone, you can start and stop playback pretty easily. If you have the apps blocked, they won't open when you click on them, but if you've been playing them before your scheduled blocking session, or you have, like on Android, you can pull up basically playlists within a widget on Spotify and click one of them and it'll start playing. That is a way around the blocking of the Bloom app. So again, not a huge deal necessarily. It's still helping promote distraction-free lifestyle through blocking the applications, but there are unfortunately limitations to what it can block. And if you were willing to go in and change the very minute settings of an app, especially on Android, maybe tinker with the code a little bit, I'm sure you could disable some of those things or just download, a clean UI interface for your phone. But if you're running stock Android or iOS and you have widgets, there are ways around the blocking that the Bloom app provides. Lastly, let's talk about the potential to delete the Bloom app while it's running in order to get around the blocking program. There are some situations in which this could be useful if you're in an emergency and you have to have access to a blocked app, but generally speaking, just leave your text messages and your phone options unblocked, and then you're good to go that way. If you want to get around that, the only way I've found is to actually add the settings app to the blocked list of apps that run during a scheduled session. Now, your mileage may vary. This is not a guaranteed way to keep you from being able to delete the app. On my phone, for example, even if you block the settings, you can still click into an app through the app info page and it launches in a separate settings window, which is not generally recognized as settings within my device. So there are, for some devices, still workarounds to delete the app even if you have the settings blocked. Again, something you could potentially debug and something that I'm going to recommend to Bloom after this video goes live that they look into. But for the time being, that's kind of where we're at with deleting the app and getting out of a blocked session. Lastly, I want to talk about my experience with this product. Like I said, I've been utilizing the app and card for about 6 weeks now, and it has revolutionized the way I work. I mean, it keeps me very well distraction-free while I'm on the site or doing things at home when I want it activated. However, like I said, there are some flaws. The biggest one for me being the YouTube glitch. Now, in my personal experience, the YouTube glitch is not a huge negative because I have generally enough self-control to not pull up YouTube videos while I'm working, but I can get access to them when I'm on a lunch break, and that's pretty cool. At least in my opinion, it's something that I want. And the reason why I find that I want access to apps during my break times is because something this card and app combo has awakened within me is a bit of anxiety, actually. I have found that I am negatively impacted when I have no access to easy dopamine and doom scrolling. And that's something I really want to change about myself, which is why I'm actually going to be implementing the Bloom app more and more into my life in other ways to just try and cut out some of that easy dopamine and doom scrolling time that I spend generally, especially on the weekends. But I have found that it does make me anxious. And I would be very interested to know if anyone else has had a similar experience using this app or the Brick or Freedom or any of these wide variety of applications and devices used to block apps and programs running on your phones. It's very strange, not something I would have thought would happen, to end up feeling kind of claustrophobic, so to speak, not physically, but more in my own head when I'm sitting at the lunchroom table and I've run out of things to do on my phone to give me that quick hit. It really kind of forces you to be with yourself and your own head. And that's not a problem for some people, and generally not for me, but I have found that it has created anxiety and panic in certain situations. And so that's just something to be aware of, that your mileage may vary. You may not experience that at all, but for me personally, I have. With all that said, I'm still going to be utilizing the Bloom app and card combo. I really want to combat easy distractions in my life. I really want to cut out easy dopamine for the sake of just my mental health in general. And I want to promote a distraction-free lifestyle so that I can reconnect with the world around me. I think that's beneficial, not only as a content creator, a photographer, a videographer, but just as a person in general, to be able to reconnect with the people, places, and environments around you. So, I'm curious to know your thoughts about this style of product and the experiences you may have had with one. If you've tried one, I'd love to know if you also have experienced any forms of panic or anxiety. If not, then drop that in the comments below as well. I'd like to know if it's just me. And if you guys enjoyed this video, then I would appreciate you guys leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing to see more. And if you want an update on my life with this app and card combination after a year's time, I would be happy to post one. So drop that in the comments as well, and we can get into making that in about another, 46 weeks? So yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope this review was helpful to you, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.